All right, welcome back, folks, to more of the 12 Villages start. We've got Lenok versus Kazva playing it out on Cauldron. They've been screwing up against each other this morning. I thought it'd be fun to bring someone in to cast with me because I'm sick of my own voice. I'm sure everyone else is. Let's welcome Farman official with the cast. How's it going, Farman?
All good, all good. Thanks a lot for having me. I'm super excited about this matchup. We've got the HRE versus Delhi Sultan at Cauldron. We've got that middle pond, lots of shorefish there. Both players could be going for it. We've got scouts seeing it out already, and we've got 3 villagers. HRE, both docking, 4 for Delhi. So it could be exciting opening here on Cauldron.
Yeah, it feels like it's actually a little bit better for the Delhi player. It's not just the fact that he can get the fishing boats out straight away. Now, because you brought more villagers, you hold Lenok hostage to this equation, right? So unless he now wants to come over the top of 2 additional villagers, this will probably leave him weaker in the initial exchange. In fact, I'm not against the idea of Kazva, after he gets enough food to just afford villagers, pulling all 4 villagers and just torching the dock.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget the fishing ships can actually fire those sweet arrows, be able to do some damage, but obviously it pulls it away from actually fishing economy. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword, though. He'd have to make it work and make it count if he's going to go for those villages on the shoreline.
And the cool thing is, like, they can fish and gather, right? Like, they can shoot and fish at the same time, if I recall correctly.
Oh, okay, that would be interesting. I didn't know that. That'd be pretty cool.
I've seen it occasionally. I don't know if it was a bug that they fixed, but like I mean, at the high level, some players literally will just keep clicking and then returning the fish afterwards. Too much work for my fingers, but some players like to do it. But it's the annoying thing is, like, compared to other archer ships as well, is like it's the only arrow that gets fired out of a ship now that isn't RNG, right? So you can't just dodge out like you would with a villager being attacked by archer ships.
Yeah, that's super important. And does that actually count for the... Yeah, that counts for the archer ships as well.
Yes.
A bit of detail for the one-on-one fights. It's not the same like for like. It could be quite a big advantage for the Delhi here.
Yeah, it's actually kind of obnoxious the way archer ships function right now. They are truly RNG. Like, I've watched a static villager get hit by 1 of the arrows and then another time get hit by 5 of the arrows. It's pretty painful. I don't know. Some people like a little bit of RNG in their competitive, but well, Kazva. I mentioned the idea of, like, clicking back and forth between fishing and attacking, but you're seeing there that he's not doing that, so he's actually just losing a lot of food in the process.
Yeah, and Kazva looking to put out an outpost, and he's no stranger to outposts, and he's doing just that right on that dock.
And this is the problem. Like, you have no option here as Lenok, right? Because, like, you aren't going to contest this at this stage. You'd have to tech up first. You'd have to go into archers. You'd have to get 8 to 10 of them. Like, all these things sound against the HRE policy, right? Like, if you're going to tech up, it's not going to be once, it's going to be twice. And he's at least on his way ahead of Kazva into the Archon. But he's going to need to do some of this fast because he's just forfeited water control to Kazva.
Yeah, of course. And that water control can be super, super important with the faster gathering speed of the shorefish. But the Archon Chapel is no slouch. It's going to cover the deer, the caberries, the woodline as well. That's going to be a really nice boost for the economy for the early Roman Empire. If you're going to focus on land, the HRE isn't the worst civilization to be picking.
It does mean the idea of going fast castle is more difficult here, though, right? Because although the Archon is ticking a lot of boxes you just mentioned, it's not covering the gold. And as we can see, that gold line is pretty exposed, actually, on the front side.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely really, really exposed. And Delhi being a very strong civilization, feudal age at times, if they wish to be, that gold could be a bit of a problem without any static defenses, though.
And we have to keep in mind that the fact you've given over the pond is actually more dangerous on the current patch than the previous one, right? They actually buffed the shoreline fishing gathering rate for fishing boats from, I think, 0.63 up to 0.7, which was intended to allow a bit more of a comeback on maps like Mediterranean, but actually just makes maps like Cauldron all the more oppressive for having central control.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And with that Archon Chapel getting Lenok to that feudal age, we do see a demo. Villagers need to be careful for Kazva. He needs to keep an eye on that because that demo ship could cause all sorts of problems.
Let's see if he's got the time right. Most players kind of have this ingrained in them, but Kazva, you know, switching back and forth between 2 games, maybe not. Demo ship. Oh, how about this? Unless it can grow some legs and walk, it can do absolutely nothing here.
Yeah, he didn't get much value at all. Those fishing ships will just heal themselves up, and he's going to be back on the fishing economy very quickly.
Well, this is the tough part, right? Demo ships, you need 2 of them, and they need to detonate at the same time to kill the fishing boats. The problem he now has is if he builds another demo ship, once these fishing boats head back to drop off, they'll heal enough that you can't kill. Like, demos, I think it's 85 damage base. It's just an impossible situation. So Lenok will be forfeiting full water control with the dock now being on fire. The question mark is, what does he do next?
Well, you talk about forfeiting, and I think Linux going to have to forfeit any idea of going to the Castle Age because it is the Tower of Victory. That's the landmark that Delhi Sultanate are going to go up with Kasva. He's looking to pile on the pressure in the Feudal Age, and who could blame him if he can attack that gold mine that's sitting there with 3 villagers mining at it? That could be a really big source of pain for Enoch now that he's lost water.
His last bastion on the water has even been slaughtered by the fishing boats. I've waited too long for this.
That is very, very awkward. It's almost like villagers fighting knights. It's working. It's working.
I think he lost 2 fishing boats in the end, but he took out the 2 remaining, takes out the archer ship as well. Like, if you think about the investment made by Lenok as well, that archer ship costs more than the 2 fishing boats that need to be replaced.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to add insult to injury, Kasva just redocks exactly where Lenok lost his.
Yeah, you know, it's like a monument to your enemies, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You ever done that before? Like, oh, I killed his castle, and now I'm going to build a castle right where his castle was. That should come with like a discount, you know?
It almost feels like you've won the game already, even if you haven't.
Well, my favorite one is like, oh, I just killed a siege tower. I'm going to build a siege tower where I just killed a siege tower.
Yeah. Well, there's that next stage for Kasva. Going to look to be piling on the pressure in the Feudal Age. 3 barracks, though, operating for Lenok. So he's got the memo. He is aware. He's reading the game. He sees that obviously he can't go to that Castle Age anytime soon. He needs to focus on that Feudal Age, and that's what he's doing. He's getting siege engineering as well. Maybe looking to get some rams out to kind of put some pressure in the middle.
I'd love to just see mass archers coming out from Kasva. Like at this stage in the game, even if you get the undermesh, you can still do decent damage against early men-at-arms. They're not as tanky as people usually think.
Yeah, for sure. Kasva walling up. He wants to keep that middle for as long as possibly can. He's got 2 outposts, and he's doing palisade walls. And, well, he wants that fishing economy. And who could blame him? He's got a decent number of fishing ships there. Food economy looking strong. But it's looking decent there. Gathering speed for the HRE as well, 400 per minute.
One problem Kaz is going to have as well is relying on walls here when the ram play comes in from Lenok. You know, as we recall, rams, they get that double damage against walls. So you're not going to actually be blocked that long. And the problem is because he built the walls so close to the docks, it's not like you can layer this either. You're just going to have to mass repair it and hope it's good enough.
Yeah, certainly. He's going to certainly need something against those rams. He's going for an archery range. That won't help against the rams. He's going to need some melee units. He needs something to torch those things down.
He's also not great on the research rates here, right? We have to remember, whenever you go for the TOV, you're sacrificing a lot of research rate. You know, in a lot of ways, Dome of Faith truly did get buffed compared to Tower of Victory.
Yeah, certainly. That Tower Victory play does mean that in the Feudal Age, you kind of have to put a lot of pressure. And if you don't, you kind of almost losing the value you get from that Tower Victory unless it goes super, super late.
Lenok can afford to keep doing this all day due to that Ark and Chapel placement. Not in that, he's actually transitioned farms ahead of time, interestingly enough. He could have pushed the deer in, but he started setting up farms early. I'm a little bit surprised by this, considering he still has the scout to push those deer in with.
Yeah, and certainly with someone with the APM of Lenok, if you've seen him play, he's definitely got the APM to do all of that all together. And speaking of APM, is probably focusing a lot of it on the front lines now with 2 rams trying to get down that outpost. Villagers coming out to burn.
The fishing boats,
Not
though.
sure if they're going to do it. Yeah, the fishing boats are really certainly helping.
Not help as much as you'd like, though. The undermesh is really saving the day here. This is the problem for Kasva. I mentioned that tech situation. He doesn't have the range damage upgrade. This is just 7 damage -1, so 6 per strike per unit. Less if you're actually targeting the men-at-arms. This is going to be successful. Lenok has enough rams to block out the docks. He can go after both of them. Kasva needs to get some military force out on the map other than naval ships.
Yeah, I certainly like the man-at-arms play. It's
Oh,
one
God,
of the 2 civilizations. Oh, that was huge. No, sort of.
No, that hurt to watch. That was not huge. That was a huge waste of resources. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
so you pay
Couldn't have gone worse.
160. It takes, I think from full health, it's 5 to kill a ram. And a ram costs 250.
Well, at least now we know what doesn't work. Is that
It
he's
pays.
getting more rams in behind this. The 4th one adding in with those men-at-arms.
I don't like the fact that Kaz was not fishing right now. Every time he attacks a ram, it hurts a little bit. We talked about this earlier, right? Like, you know, he's sacrificing gathering to shoot. He'll get back to it, but now we see the archers. Very delayed, though.
Yeah, certainly not worth it with those fishing. They'd much be better off fishing. And the trouble for Kasva is, you know, the HRE, one of 2 civilizations that get man-at-arms. The archers will do decent. They are early man-at-arms. They're not, you know, half as good as their Castle Age counterparts, but they are pretty tanky. Without sort of a natural counter in the Feudal Age, this is a problem for Kasva to deal with.
Yeah, the reason there's a huge problem is because he went for this low scholar build and a delayed blacksmith layer. He doesn't have the steeled arrow tips. So he's doing 1 damage per archer against these men-at-arms. Even with the TOV attack speed buff, that's not doing anything here.
Yeah, he needs that steeled arrow and he needs it fast.
Rams, I mean, they can do more damage as well. 4 Rams and they make their way into the base. When you've gone for archer mass, double archer range, by the way, you have no solution. In fact, look at the panic from Kazva. Quadruple Rax drop on the back of his base.
Yeah, that is awkward. Talking about panic, a lot of those villagers are panicking. They're heading directly into that town center. 15 garrison side, not enough space there. Man-at-arms might just dive in, and I think they will.
It's half of his effective economy is idle, right? Between the fishing boats that are attacking on the waterfront, the fact that he's got all these villagers garrisoned at home, several run in between. Also, he's idling up 7 villagers to rush the racks. I mean, he has a dead economy at this stage against a Civ that has a 40% gathering speed buff on practically everything.
Yeah, Kazva needs all the help he can get. He needs something to deal with these man-at-arms, and the trouble is his marching drills are coming in. If Leonok gets reinforcements in, they're going to be coming in quick time.
I worry. I think Leonok is just going to hit Castle Age before Kazva even has a solution to the existing men-at-arms. I mean, Leonok still has 3 of the 4 Rams he built. They're partying right now.
Yeah.
They forced a Bagler to be built as well. That doesn't really do anything either.
Yeah, speaking of Castle Age, well, Leonok's economy is heading in that direction. Just needs a bit more of that gold. Smidge, 315 gold per minute coming in. Just needs to keep that going for another minute, and he should be able to age up. But Sacred Site's going to be activated for the Delhi a little bit late than you normally expect. Delhi, obviously synonymous with those Sacred Sites in the Feudal Age. Just hasn't been able to get there. He's been dealing with a lot in the middle of the map.
That's because he only ever built 3 scholars, right? He's only now building his 4th one 11 and a half minutes into the game. And those scholars, you know, they felt that they always need to be researching. Even then, those research speeds weren't that impressive. You kind of see why the spin play was so delayed as well. With only 3 there garrisoned in the mosque, he had to go for the hardened upgrade before he could even begin to push a somewhat effective unit against their melee spam.
Yeah, certainly with the Delhi the research so dependent on those scholars, it kind of hurts with the Tower of Victory, not being able to get things like steeled arrows so simply.
People just noting, oh, there's a lot of military for Kaz, but yeah, don't be deceived. Fishing boats for the Delhi count as both military and eco units. So he's actually not that big. If he had 31 units, I feel a lot more confident about this game, but instead, this feels very Leonok favored, with him now making his way up with the Braidnitz Cathedral.
Yeah, and that'll allow him to get those relics, that sweet, sweet gold for the HRE. They've, been known and loved for this Castle Age play. If he gets those relics, that gold income will skyrocket, and that could just be the tipping point in this game.
And that's a big deal up against the Delhi because there's another Civ that contests that very well, right? If they can unlock Castle Age, usually they have all the scholars sitting on relics the moment they tech up, and they take that all away. It's kind of rougher in these type of matchups because you get some Civs where they don't really care about the relics, but in these type of matchups, you can't think of it as I get an extra 8 gold. It's more like 160 gold difference because we both were interested.
Yeah, for sure. And the Imams are on the 2 sacred sites on the map, so that will give Kazva a little bit of a trickle of gold, but with Leonok in that Castle Age very soon, I suspect those sacred sites will be contested, or they are being contested. The one in the middle, Man-at-Arms, on his own, pushing away the Imam. But there is a Bagler there, just keeping that sacred site nice and secure for now, at least.
I wonder if that was the original intent around the Bagler. Like, I'm wondering if Kazva expected more damage against Rams and kind of forgot that they had 50 ranged armor. It's kind of an easy detail to slip, right? I think I've talked to a few different people, and they usually still think that Rams are, like, what was it, 30 missile armor it used to be.
Yeah.
Painful one, and now the Men-at-Arms. Well, the spam begins. It might not be a Burgrave build, but this delayed tech up timing means he's already got his hands on 6 racks to spam Men-at-Arms with.
Yeah, and this just comes in down to timing, because with Castle Age not in for Leonok, he can look to slowly get those relics. He can keep a couple of Man-at-Arms on the field. Obviously, I suppose there's going to be a natural counter that Kazva can go for, but he's still far away from that Castle Age. He's taking up with the House of Learning. He's going there with 14 villagers, so we'll get there relatively soon. But, Leonok's been in the Castle Age for quite some time now to try and get those relics.
I don't know if this House of Learning is much House of Worship at this stage. I mean, there's so much of your effective economy not gathering for you. So even when you complete this tech up, you've got 4 racks, but you won't be able to afford production out of them at that pace. That's another rough detail about this Tier V versus Dome of Faith. Forfeiting these cheaper scholars means when you have to go for more of one military production building, it's not cost effective, right? You could have paid 65 gold instead of 150 wood per.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely adds up, and Those sacred sites are now being contested. We talked about it earlier how the sacred sites will be contested very soon. It came quicker than I thought it would, but well, that's Leenock in the HRE castle age for you.
21 men at arms and climbing, also already prepping to go into the two-handed weapons. And crossbows are being pumped by Casva. Understands there's no real mass men at arms play early on. He'll just need a few as a body, as a front line for him, if you will.
Yeah. Something that's good for Casva, though, does have a decent amount of spearmen and archers. That will buy him some time, actually, some precious time to get those crossbows up. He's got the palisade walls up on the right side, protecting that economy or base, at least the entry point. It just narrows the angle of attack for Leenock a little bit. And those crossbows, if numbers, you know, these man-at-arms, they might be under a lot of pressure with those crossbows there.
Just enough spears to just block him is the crucial detail here. It's always about whether you can actually tick that box, get enough the crossbows before the mass men-at-arms gets too frisky. Problem I do see is when you look on the west side of the base, Casva, it's a lot of open ground to protect. There's a lot of men-at-arms to spread out and head in with.
Yeah, for sure. That's a lot of open space, and a group of men-at-arms, 10 of them, are heading in towards the west side now. Going to be looking to try and pressure in.
Just need to draw attention to the back of the base. The goal when you're up against crossbows like this, just keep them dancing. As Leenock is prepping the next layer. It's a very simple layer. It's the type of layer that measures its IQ as mass spears.
Speaking of layers, you might need some more layers there because that palisade, you know, that could be burned down pretty quickly with a massive man-at-arms that are building up for Leenock. He's only got 20, but I suspect that'll be building up with the relics coming in. That gold income will really start to skyrocket. He's got 2 in the bag already, 1 more coming in. Casva is denying 1, but with the Relics Cathedral gold coming in, the HRE might be getting on that war wagon. That war machine might be starting to build up a bit.
It's going to get ugly what happens next. Leenock is in a position where he can either go Imperial Age or he switches over to Spearman Lansk. And that's enough to annihilate Casva. It looks like it's going to be Imperial Age, though. Leenock at that stage, I mean, if he also preps himself, say, to kind of leverage the Prelates better with the Inspired Warriors, I actually think Lansk could just win this in the blink of the eye.
Yeah, for sure. He's going up with the Palace of Swabia, Imperial Age, 16 villages, so he'll be pumping those villages very quickly, and that economy will be rocking and rolling. If you get some prelates on the field, 40% gathering speed boost of those villages, the economy is going to spiral out of control. Kaz is on a ticking timer.
Leenock is playing him like a fiddle. Just a few men at arms left over, but look at what they do. Right, the last one standing, the last Mohican here. He drags the entire army right side away from what Leenock is doing, and Casva should be suspicious, but instead he's being gluttonous.
Yep,
he wants to shut down the
about buying
gold.
time. Oh, right, he's going for it, but there is an outpost there, and it is getting spring replacement. That will certainly help. He's just walking straight past the gold. He's not attacking.
It's because he doesn't know where he's gone. This is the rough part. Like, the whole point is, like, he's checking this flank. He's like, okay, I know I'm being distracted right, but I'm going to take your gold away. He did not expect this Imperial Age timing. Leenock just completely disarmed Casva.
Yeah, that is huge. We talked about buying time and how Casva needed to buy time, but really, it might have just been Leenock all along. He knew that Casva might be buying time. Well, Leenock says, well, if you need time, I'll give you time. That gives me time to get my Palace of Swabia up and running. And that's exactly what he's done.
Casva's only choice is just keep doing the same thing. Men at arms and crossbows. Buy time. He doesn't even have the opportunity to eco boom because he did go for the House of Learning here. Spears are going to waste his time. Springwood emplacement. Soon to be buffered up by the fortify outpost. At that stage, you know, Leenock might be pushed off the gold, but this relic outpost will stand eternal.
Yeah, for sure. Those villagers will be fleeing for their lives, but with all relics in the bag, the Raiders Cathedral, Palace of Swabia, keep coming forward with villagers, but that's not going up, I don't think.
As the men-at-arms, there's everyone chasing after everyone here. Villagers chased by men-at-arms, the Delhi. Then, of course, the villagers coming in, being chased by the HRE men-at-arms. It's just not going to be quick enough. He knows he can't get it up. Casva tries to sneak one in right next to the base, but Leenock, with this sort of men-at-arms push, is unstoppable.
Yeah, he's trying something here. It's a bit dicey. The villagers are hammering away, but the man-at-arms there for Leenock, that's going to be probably too much here.
Just a great manipulation by Leenock overall. Casva, although he tries to wrap him from the east side now, it's too late. He just doesn't have a strong enough arm to swing and strike down Leenock. I mean, this is the stage where Lee is just going to get annoying. And he calls it. Horsemen were on the way as well. We all know how that plays out at this stage in the game. Leenock, even though he got baited into the Cauldron Pond and he lost out there, he comes out swinging and actually comes out of a win in the late game.
fantastic to have a chance to cast with you. It was fun, and obviously for me, it's a great experience getting the like a co-cast under my belt. But yeah, I really appreciate you having me on, and hopefully we can do it sometime soon again.
Man, I'm always available. With absolute pleasure. Everyone, shout out for Farman Official. Check out his channel and big ups for him in the chat. I'm sure we'll see more of him
Cheers,
in the future.
dudes. Take care, guys. Twitch chat. Catch you soon.
See you, dude.